Go ahead and get started. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us this evening. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm pulling up my minutes. We'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:34. We don't have any guests on the calls, so we don't have anybody else besides people that should be attended. So thank you. Well, no guest to introduce. And did everybody get a chance to read the minutes from last month's meeting? Any errors or omissions or things that need to be changed? Someone want to approve the minutes as read? I've got a little bit of an echo.
That's me.
Okay, no problem. All right. Anybody making a motion to accept the minutes? Laura says move and
Or seconded.
seconded. All right, we got Laura moved for approval and Virginia seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes have been approved. Okay. So review of the first foundation training seminar. And, we had on November 1st, we had I thought was a fairly good foundation training seminar that was educational as well as motivational. And at the end, I kind of thought there was a few people that went a little bit longer on their talk, and so it ended up causing a rush at the end to just finish things really quickly in order to be able to meet the timeline. So we need to do a little bit of a better job of making sure that people stick within the timeline that they are. The woman who did her talk about the youth did a great job as far as motivational, but it was long. It was long, and there was a few others. But other than that, I thought it provided a lot of excitement for the foundation and got people more than just numbers. It got them to uh, see where the money is going and some of the things that it does. So, anybody else have any comments on that?
Our president was so impressed by the Gates Foundation video of the
Yeah.
lady that he wanted to play the video at our meeting, which he did.
Wow, that's great.
He said it was really eye-opening and that the way that she presented it really opened his eyes to why we need to still give.
Yes, yes. Well, I agree. I think there's a lot of people. I've got members in my club that still come to me and says, why are we spending so much time on foundation? I mean, on Polio Plus. It's not really in front of us, but that's why we need to do it because it's not in front of us. But we need to take care of it so that it's gone permanently. And it's hard to see all that money go out the door when you know that we're only dealing with two countries that have a very few cases, but that's what it takes. So I agree with you. I think that the Gates Foundation did a great job on talking about Polio Plus. And Dick, thank you very much for joining us. And Alan, good to see you. Okay, so let's talk.
I'm Dave. Is that video available for other clubs to show?
Yes, yes. It's in our documents or it's in our website to be able to pull down.
Okay.
Naomi can help you with that if you need it. I think it would be something good to share with your club members. All right, so if we look at the TRF giving, things are moving in the right direction. We've got still about 100% of our goals. Everybody got about 100% of everybody with their goals for both Polio Plus and annual giving. For the annual giving, we are at $176,000 already, where we're less than halfway through the year on a goal of $310,000. So I think that looks great. We are at 56, so we're more than halfway to our goal, but we still need to be making pushes in that area. And we've got 50 clubs, and trying to look at anything else on that. We are at $131 per capita. So as all of you know, the goal for Rotary is that they want everybody to be at $100 per capita or more. So we've already exceeded that, and we're halfway through the year. They had said some nice things about District 5000 and all the good things we did at the zone foundation get together today. So that was nice to hear. Of course, I didn't accept any responsibility for that because it's not me, it's all of you guys. So thank you. And let's go into polio. On the polio side, the only thing I'm a little disappointed on the polio side is that, and what we probably have to think about is we have only 11 clubs that have reached their $1,500 giving of the 50.
Ooh.
So of all the clubs, of all 50, only 11 of them have reached $1,500 of giving. So,
Well,
and I'm in that too. Our club's in that too, where we're not there yet.
I can tell you, Dave, that we just sent $1,000 in from the Rotary Club of East Honolulu
Yeah,
today.
and I think a lot of that is situations. Thank you very much, Laura. I think a lot of it is lag time, especially when you send checks, because it takes about a month to get approved or cleared. So yeah, I think those numbers are going to continue to rise, and we're going to see more and more of the clubs get that $1,500. But I think we just need to do a good job of making sure where we reiterate to the clubs that it isn't the size of the club; it is a commitment or a goal to try to get $1,500 from every club. It doesn't matter if you're 100 members or 15 members. We're still trying to get $1,500 per club. Our goal is $64,000. We're at $47,000 currently, and we're at 74% of our number. I think the sheet I sent you was inaccurate. I somehow got 19% out of that. My math was wrong. I refixed that, so it's 74%. And we've had a nice increase in market value of endowment. So Dick, you can talk about that if you want, but we'll jump in have you talk about that in a moment. Paul Harris Society members, there is a big push to try to get more Paul Harris Society members. And those are people that we are committing to try to do $1,000 per person a year. And we want to see more people doing that. But, the majority of the funds that we raise are from $100 to $1,000. Those two numbers are the largest quantity of people that give, and they amount to the largest percentage of the money that we collect from Rotary. So it's important for us to encourage people to say even $100 is huge for us. So get $100 and get those other people to sign up for that $1,000 to become Paul Harris Society members on an annual basis. That'll make Virginia really happy. It'll make all of us really happy because you can join the ranks of Virginia and her husband and everybody else that's part of our team that are Paul Harris Society members. And I think we need to do a little bit better job of reaching out to those that are Paul Harris Society members but aren't meeting their $1,000 commitment. I know that sometimes it's hard, but we want to strive to have those people continue to do that on an annual basis. Any questions on the numbers? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Roz isn't here, but we talked a little bit about the polio side. There was a district conference. The district conference is in August, and that poses a little bit of a concern because one of the things we always do that raises money is we have a march for polio, and it's at the district conference. Well, the district conference is in August. We're not going to have those funds that are going to be able to help that. So, we're going to have to talk with Roz to think about maybe some other ways of us trying to encourage more giving to Polio Plus early on instead of waiting for that polio march at the end of the year. I know that we've got money that's going to be coming in for all of those people that are doing the ride for polio. That's the 100-mile bike, 50-mile or 100-mile bike ride, and that always brings in some additional revenue. And we as a district can also make a decision to give more money of the rollover money that's available to us for Polio Plus if we have to exhaust that. Dick, do you want to talk a little bit about annual fund? I know you just got back. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
let me do that. And first of all, I apologize if I'm a little late joining. I just got back from a foundation support trip to Maui, so I literally ran in the door and turned on the computer.
No problem.
I was asked to speak at a couple of Maui clubs, Wendy's Satellite Club, which is going to become a regular club, last night, and again at Kihei Wailea at noon today, and then race to the airport. Good briefings. I built a briefing that covered all of the funds and all of the ways that people can contribute. So we had a really good give and take with examples of what it means. So I think that was worthwhile. I gave $100 bill to each of those two clubs with the pledge that they match it and then some. And we talked about annual giving. I talked about Paul Harris Fellows and Paul Harris Society. I awarded 4 Paul Harris pins and talked about how one pledges for the society and stays in the fold. So I think that was worthwhile. So that's kind of where I stand there. I did also talk to all the ways of legacy giving and why that matters. So I sort of covered all the bases as best I could there. I'll have a couple other topics to chat about as we go through the meetings, but that's kind of it for my area right now.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask Virginia if she could share a little bit about the luncheon that they put together for the foundation on November 14th, just past week. And how you felt that went and what was successful about it, what could have been, what you learned from that. So go ahead.
Oh, I would start that by saying that Al Whalen was our speaker, and he had enough time to give a full report that he didn't have time for during the training. And so the November 1st training where well, Al wasn't presenting then, but it was a report on Maui. But I would like to say that well, first of all, it's very easy to just make a special meeting when you have a regular meeting date and you have a venue and you have a buffet set up, and all you have to do is give a hotel numbers and maybe get a room that's a little bit bigger. It's much easier than planning a big hoo-ha evening event. And it doesn't cost the clubs anything to do that any more than they do at the regular meeting. Secondly, it allowed all of our East Side clubs to get together, and everyone really enjoyed that and said, why don't we do this more often? And Al underscored the importance of working together in talking about Maui, because his presentation was truly humbling with regard to what Rotarians have done on Maui. It is just breathtaking, the work that they have done and are continuing to do. And how they planned for it, and talking about, we learned a lot about problem solving and how they started with not knowing what to do and figuring out what to do to help people. And it was just an amazing experience to hear that. So as part of that, I made sure that we had continuous giving forms for everyone, and went around after and just with the forms that basically boldly said, do you have one of these forms? Do you do continuous giving? Do you need to know how to do that? Made sure that those forms were in everyone's hand, because the first step to donating to the foundation is giving people an easy way to do that, particularly a way that that happens every month without them having to make a conscious decision to take their checkbook out, or expect the club to do all the paperwork for you, which is a bad habit in my club. So I would say that it was a great event. I would do it that way again. I think it was more effective because even though the number of people attending were about the same as the last 2 previous events that were in the evening events, we had a lot of spouses attend, and spouses are great, but many of them were not Rotarians. We had the same number this year, and they were all Rotarians with the exception of people visiting to consider joining Rotary and one guest that I knew of. Um, so I thought it was a wonderful event, and I would do it the same way again next year because I think it will result in more donations to the foundation, which was why we were there in the first place. I would also like to point out, I put up a display, a foundation display and information on Paul Harris Society and books on water and whatnot. I just learned that 20% of the donations to the Rotary Foundation um, are Paul Harris Society donations. 20%. If that was this district, it would be, for our goal this year, it would be $64,000. When we campaign for Polio Plus, we don't spend much time telling people that Polio Plus is part of the Rotary Foundation. And so with Polio Plus, it's sometimes treated like a separate thing. And we ask people for $25 or $100. Paul Harris Society people contribute $1,000. So you need a lot more people to equal that amount if they're donating $100 a year. It's just a little piece of information to consider because, to be perfectly honest, I think you could do a fabulous thing for Polio Plus and Paul Harris Society by doing something at the conference that for Paul Harris Society members, and also include in that information on Polio Plus. We don't have a run for Paul Harris Society. We basically don't do much of anything for Paul Harris Society at the district level. And I've advocated for years that we should have a luncheon or breakfast, and have members pay for it, but a special event for Paul Harris Society members or major donors and major donors. Rotary International does this every year at their conference. So
Nobody.
I'll stop.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dave, could I
Thanks,
ask
Virginia.
add a couple of comments?
Quickly, yes.
I think Virginia is kind of right on target about a lot of things. I talked to the folks in Maui about, because we awarded Paul Harris pins, I talked to them about the difference between being a Paul Harris recipient and being making the pledge and doing the regular donations. So we hit that pretty hard, and I explained how important that was. I think that may be useful for people going forward. The other thing people need to understand is whether you give to Polio Plus or the annual giving or whatever, it all goes to the Rotary Foundation and it all counts. So I think that's important for us to keep making that pitch. And the final thing is, pursuant to Virginia's suggestion, when I went over to Maui, because this trip cost me about $800 out of my pocket, I went to rather than going to Wailea, where all the hotels were booked, I went to the Courtyard Marriott by the airport and said, I'm checking here for the night. And they looked at me and said, okay, you're a lifetime Bonvoy Platinum, so we're giving you a suite at no extra cost. If I had known that in advance, I probably could have thought about scheduling an event there, or maybe at the Renaissance Inn or a Hilton or something in Kihei, Wailea. And following up on her suggestion to use a hotel venue, I might be willing to go over and throw in some not funny comments, but a little bit of wine and have libations and stuff to get a bunch of people together to do that and get them to ante up and convince them that there's a difference between being a Paul Harris recipient this year and being a member of the society and giving year after year. I'm off my soapbox.
Right. Appreciate that. Thank you. I'll share a little bit, Dick, about the endowment, because I know that you probably may have not heard about this yet, but Cindy Smith, Linda Barclay, uh, through the Paul Field through the Linda Barclay Endowment Fund, who she passed away, um, basically have also given $25,000 to a named endowment. So these are funds that we're going to have to be talking about in our committee, in our foundation committee meeting, that we want to make sure that that is allocated properly, so that the clubs get those funds back. And Cindy Smith is doing hers, but she's doing it through a different process where she can actually use it to give it to RILA, not RILA, I'm sorry, HYRF. So she wants to give scholarships to college scholarships, and through Rotary International, they were able to structure that so that that money would be able to be used for
Yeah.
that purpose.
Well,
So
I talked at some length about legacy giving and explained why young people new to Rotary ought to consider this over the long term and what it does. But I also think I'd like to underscore the idea. I think of our experience in our club with Malia Schwartz's legacy gift to us for the students in our area. And I think that it's important to understand that you don't just throw the gift out there and then Rotary decides whatever they've done. Our district is particularly good about working with that, and we need to work on a good conversation with potential donors about where the money will go. Everything doesn't need to be fenced and restricted, but
no,
some people have desires, and if you meet their desires and they give, if somebody comes to us and says, like Sandy Guest, and says, I'm going to give to so-and-so and you get my house, well, guess what? You're going to listen.
yeah. And more and more people are starting to understand that this named endowment allows somebody to say, hey, I want to give a legacy back to their club, so that these funds, or some of the funds, come back to your club for your use unencumbered. You're going to be able to use that money and the interest that is paid to you every single year. You don't have to wait 3 years for it. It comes back to you immediately. Obviously, you need to exercise that endowment
Yeah.
and pay, but it's something that I know I'm gonna be working with my estate planner to basically include that in it, so that
Here's my
I can build
pitch.
that legacy.
Here's my pitch. I know annual giving very well. Endowment is newer. I'm working on it. But if there are any good briefings that we can grab from somebody other than even our own district that really emphasize the options that people have, I'd like to reach out to younger people, not people who are, like me, an old Howley guy who writes checks. I would like to reach out to people who are thinking about their legacy, understand that they don't have a lot of money now, but they can do something now, make a pledge, which doesn't cost them, and they can be in the system for the future. And that's kind of the pitch I gave today on Maui.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Global grants, we don't have Arjun or James on the call, or do we? I don't see them.
Arjun's on.
Oh, Arjun.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arjun. I don't, my screen doesn't show all the pictures, so I
No,
gotta-
no problem. Probably you're looking for a face, but I'm working at home. I'm doing all concrete work now. I'm
all right. You want to go
So,
ahead? Want to go ahead and share about
middle
the
of
global
break.
grants?
So the global grant, the pledging deadline was November 1, and I haven't put together. I don't know if Naomi, if you have a quick record about how many pledged, but not many, I think, right?
14.
14
only.
clubs out of 50.
So in my experience, even in the past, we have to reach out. Somehow we have to reach out to the clubs, someone, and probably I will do next month. But anyone who have time, I think we should share that list and start calling or writing email to the clubs.
Yeah, and some of them are very large clubs that have large amounts that are allocated for global grants. Like Waikiki hasn't allocated their funds unless it's come in with I didn't know about it. But they're usually very quick about supporting some global grants, and I know your club hasn't put yours down yet, but I know you've got it all
So my club
allocated.
is we're always the last. We put on the way whichever grant need at the end.
Yeah, no, that's
So
understood.
Yeah, like Dave just mentioned, some of the clubs, it is coming. For example, Waikiki, so they always do it. So,
Yeah, and
but some of the club we have to remind.
yeah, and Laura just made a comment, and I want to make sure people know, this November 1st deadline is the deadline that we put down, but it isn't a hard, fast deadline. I mean, it's there. Other districts do not have deadlines, or they might have deadlines that are much further out. So if your club still wants to participate in the global grant, just let us know. We're happy to accept that. So, so please, Laura, if
And
your
sure.
club wants to support a global grant, you've got funds available. We are making it easier now because we are saying that if you are tight with cash, you only have to match it by 50%. So
And also, Dave, can you just summarize the meeting today with the zone? So that might be interesting to some of.
Yeah, so there is a consortium that the zone is looking at doing, and that's for us to be able to have kind of a global grant consortium that would allow us to be able to see everything that's being done on the zone level. So if somebody's got this great project and they are looking for people to help fund it, they can now reach out to all of us within the zone to see and increase the breadth of the clubs that might be able to be looking for more projects than just the 4 or 5 projects that we have within our district. That's a kind of a double-edged sword on that type of situation, because when you start giving money to the other ones, it's less for our grants but it's the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. We also learned that most of them don't have deadlines on their giving, and if they did, it's more like December 31st, so January 1st instead of November 1st. So we may want to consider having a little bit more of an extension on that deadline and just make it further out. But we can talk about that at our spending committee meeting. Okay. Go ahead. Anything else?
That's all I have, Dave.
All right. And if I missed anything that you wanted to share about the meeting that you attended today, feel free to add to that.
Okay.
All right. Naomi and Joni, do you guys have anything you want to talk about on the district grants qualifications?
Sure,
I'll leave
but
that to Naomi.
okay. But first, I want to go back to Polio Plus. So the amount that we got from the district conference from the walk to Polio Plus was just 1,300. Okay, so
1,300.
you're not talking about a whole lot of money from the district conference. Okay, so I talked to Roz this afternoon. She said there's quite a few events still, fundraisers still to happen. And so what I suggested was putting them into the community calendars, getting it out to the districts. So the ones that are remaining for fundraising, that we can get maybe a bigger audience so that we can get more money there. But we got to get the awareness out because people don't know about all of the options for fundraising. Okay, so wanted to say, for foundation events at the district conference, I think this committee needs to take a lead on what you want done at the district conference, and you tell them what you want done. Okay, so if you want to have a dinner or breakfast, make that suggestion, but it's got to be, okay, how are you going to fund it? So coming up with the funding source, how it's going to be planned, because if you want them to do it, they're going to do it their way. So even for the recognition, we should be making, this committee should be making the recommendation on how you want to have the recognitions. If you leave it up to the conference committee, some of them don't, it's not in their bandwidth, and sometimes it's not going to happen because they just don't think about it. Okay, and each island, so Virginia, if that event was good, you should do it on an annual basis and just take the lead on it. Go ahead and do it. So it doesn't have to be from this committee. Your East Hawaii clubs can plan it every November.
Yeah.
Make it an annual thing.
Yeah, I think that's what we did.
Yeah, you did. You did run with it this year. And
Yeah, but
I
make
think-
it a recurring annual thing.
yeah.
I'd like to second what Naomi suggested, because I've been, in the annual giving business for several years now. And 2 of the last 4 years, I've been the conference co-chair. I think it's very important that we sit down together well before the conference, figure out where a foundation event fits into that schedule and how we promote it and how we agree together with the district governor how we're going to do that. Because, we can make that a real hit. But there's always a pushback, obviously, in terms of time allocation against the benefit. So it's a conversation that we simply need to have early with those representing the foundation and the district governor and the committee for the next conference.
I'm happy
Appreciate
to
it.
talk about Paul Harris Society anytime for a district conference event. Anytime.
All right.
Okay, well, you can always have a table at the House of Friendship. So just, we should have it as a recurring thing that it's a given. We're always going to have a table.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So going back to the pledges, I helped Mark Harbison for years trying to chase down those pledges, and I can do it again. So, I mean, I've done it for many years. I can continue. So, as for the district grants, we received 77,000. 14 of that was from the earnings from the endowment. So 58,000 was dispersed already for 78 78 applications. There are still 3 more clubs that are eligible to submit an application. That's Kahala, South Hilo, and North Hawaii. So those 3 still need to give us applications. There are 8 clubs that are not qualified because they don't have any tax returns that are filed. So their allocation was about $3,000. So that could be on a second round for district grants. Okay, and then as far as getting people qualified for next year's grants, we have on the 24th the second grant qualification seminar training. And so we'll send an email to those people who don't have those 2 people. And I really think that we need to have the treasurers, whoever's handling the money needs to come to that seminar too, because we're getting questions about the voucher, and I just told this treasurer, all of the money has to come out from the grant account. She didn't know that. So we really need to get to the people who are really the people who handle the grant money and get them trained.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Rich Proctor has been doing a really good job chasing for the tax returns this month because it's due this month. So far we've got about half the clubs that have submitted their tax return.
Great. Good points. Thank you. Alan, you want to share what has happened with our applicant? Did she get accepted?
Unfortunately, not.
Oh,
Yeah, this is her
third,
4th time
fourth
in
time?
applying for it. Actually, she applied twice before and then was accepted. And then, of course, because of the visa problem with Australia, she was not awarded the fellowship. But then she applied again. And I had a talk with her a couple of days ago, and she said that she is going to continue trying. She's now back in Cameroon, her home country, and she is actively involved in 2 organizations that are working for peace. For those of you who don't know, Cameroon is a very, very much worn, torn country, and it's been going on for decades. And she's back there trying, but somehow what she's been doing, maybe the application is just not quite good enough. I don't know. I don't know what the
Or
reason
competition?
is that she actually gets it once and then she doesn't get it after that. But
Could it be competition from others that are trying to apply for those?
that is part of it. there has been an increase in the number of applicants for the Peace Fellowship. So, yeah.
And I would imagine that sometimes, depending on where they're trying to get their peace scholarship at, there might be more competition for maybe a Tokyo location than it would be for someplace in Mississippi. I know we don't have one in Mississippi, but what I'm just saying is that there might be more of a demand for this certain areas to try to get that scholarship.
Can I make a
Yeah.
suggestion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to really reach out to local people. So go to the colleges, to the foreign studies people, the any
I am doing
related.
that.
Okay, and the returning Peace Corps workers, some of them may want to get their masters. So, reaching out to those people, there's a UN motto ledge or something coming up right now, and we should plant the seed that this is an opportunity for them if they're interested in United Nations development goals, that maybe they can continue their studies. But can we spread that awareness out to a bigger net?
Well, I cover the UH Manoa pretty well. Hilo, not so much because I've been away from it, but also HBU. So those HBU and UH Manoa, I do cover pretty well, I think. I'm in classrooms talking to the students themselves in usually it's their junior year or senior year. So try to plant the seed that this is an opportunity for them. I think part of the problem that we have is there aren't that many students who are working in peace organizations.
Mhm.
That is a key part of the application. The reason Ankia is actually doing somewhat well. I mean, she hasn't been chosen, but she has been chosen before, is because she is involved with peace organizations, and that's a key part of it all. And I think that's where the difficulty is coming, because you really have to show that you have been steadfastly a part of some kind of a peace effort.
Right. So what about the Matsunaga Peace or ISWA Center? Do they have students that we should reach out to too?
Well, they have their own fellowship. In fact, that was just announced last month. And so actually we're competing with them. They're not too enamored with the idea of my coming there and talking to their students about it.
Okay.
I stress it's totally different, and ours is a lot better because it includes the whole kit and caboodle, right? Ours is a completely paid for program.
Right. Sorry, I didn't want to take too much time, but I'm just saying that maybe we can try different avenues to try and get a local person to do it. And if the Eastwood Center, maybe Karen Knudsen can help us because she's a friend of Rotary, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
All right. And stewardship, anything on that? We lose Paul? Nothing on the stewardship side.
Well, Ron had 12 applications audited with people. 2 didn't come in. And so I did talk to Caroline Bond, and she has reached out to the 2 clubs. They said they got all of the documents ready and they were supposed to send it to Caroline. I pinged Caroline yesterday to see if we can get her final reports now. So if we can get hers, then we have 12, but still that's not 15%. So I think we need to discuss on whether we're going to do more audits to make that 15% cutoff.
And have we already missed the deadline?
Well, yeah, but this is internal because we're supposed to
Okay.
do it by the end of September. But, I think we should still do it because we're supposed to do it.
Okay. Well,
So if we can
whatever.
have the audit committee come under Paul, so it's under the stewardship committee, then there's oversight on that committee and maybe look at the process, look at the sheet that they're using to audit the clubs. I think we really need to revamp it.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of questions this year, and I don't know if it was because there was a lot of new people that were doing the audits, and they were actually fairly well educated, and so they were bringing back a lot more questions that even Ron couldn't answer. So Ron was coming back to me all the time and asking me, "Well, what do you think about this?" And I go, "Well, this is how I would interpret it," but you know, and he was saying, boy, they're just asking a lot of good questions. They're asking a lot of good questions. And so I think that caused further delays in getting the answers that these people needed for doing the audit, as well as getting the answers from the clubs that they were interviewing.
Yeah. So my suggestion is it should come, the audit committee should come under stewardship. And so stewardship should take the oversight on that whole process.
Okay. Paul,
Yeah,
I
we
know
can do
you're,
that. I had a lot of questions, and I know the clubs had a lot of questions when we asked them for documents. So I agree with Naomi. I think we should work on fixing or making it simpler.
yeah, making it simpler, but still being comprehensive enough that, we're not hiding anything.
Oh yeah,
We're not letting things slip. But I agree with you. And if we want to have a separate meeting on that, Paul, with your team to kind of work on that, maybe that's a
yeah.
working
I
lunch or
think I
something
think
like that.
I think to get organized first on
Yeah.
what the goal is going to be, and then yeah,
And
we
I
can do
think,
that fairly quickly.
and I think if we want to get Ron in that introduction one, just to basically do a handoff, but I think we're going to be looking for some additional people to support in that area
Okay, yeah.
going forward. Okay. All right, good. Um,
Here.
Unfinished business. There are still some foundation events that we haven't done yet in our district. I know that Nancy, you wanted it done in November, and we didn't have one for our club, and I mean for our island. And I know that I did speak to both Laura Mello and Jeff Cochran. Laura realized that was too short notice, and that she wanted to come early November, and it just didn't make sense. And so she made other plans, but she didn't actually make any plans to come out anyway. So she said she was waiting for us to get back, but I was gone for a month. That kind of screwed things up.
Dave,
Yeah.
Jeff Cochran called me today on Maui as I was getting ready to go in the briefing. I told him I was too busy to talk to him today and tomorrow, but I'd chat Friday. But this issue he surfaced was he would like to make a trip
In
to
January.
Hawaii in January.
January.
Yeah, and
and
that's
so
doable.
I told him I'd chat with him on Friday and we can listen and share with everybody because it's really not my visit, it's the district's visit. So,
But I think just like Virginia was doing that, maybe we can do that as a joint meeting, a couple joint meetings on Oahu where we just have multiple clubs come to one location for a little bit larger luncheon and have them be the key speakers and have a push for giving to the foundation.
yeah, I think that would be good. And I think that would answer the question because the Maui folks said, well, if somebody like that comes over, how do we play? Maybe the answer is we have a joint meeting. So
Yeah.
anyway, something we need to look at.
I mean, there's
So,
enough. Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that Al paid his own expenses to come over. He said he owed his wife a staycation, and so they both came and they I don't know, they went to Kona, went to the beach, but they paid all their own expenses. He was wonderful to work with
Yeah.
because he was there wasn't anything we could do for him that he hadn't
Yeah.
already figured out. So I would say that today at our club we had a Zoom with someone from California who was a Peace Scholar and has a project in Kenya that's really impressive. In any case, the Zoom went really well. The sound was great. It was like the speaker was in the room. And we can do foundation events like that and talk to people that are in Africa or other places. And I think that's a draw too. I don't think we have to I think
Fly
we're
somebody
making it
over.
too hard for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I also think that individual clubs have a lot of responsibility just having a weekly meeting, and perhaps they need more training, like at a district conference, having some kinds of training sessions that all the people there can attend if they want. Not everybody at the same time, but you know,
Oh,
just
Dave.
Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I have two platforms. I've lost my internet on one thing here, but I'm on my phone now. Yeah, I've been talking to Jeff for a while since we saw him in Zone in that too. And one of my thoughts is that, last year when we had Vicky and Tim here, it was great. We had all those socials and that, but I don't know, and I don't know how to figure on us getting increased donations into. I think it gave a lot of good, yeah, rah, rah, rah. But did we really get down and get people to understand?
I think you're right. It's hard to make money when people are paying $75, $100 for a meal.
Yeah. So
Uh,
one of our thoughts that I was thinking about talking with him is that he mentioned more so because he'd been to some of the islands, all the islands before, I think, but is he particularly wanted to come to Oahu and to Maui. And our idea was, yes, we could do like you're talking about, have a joint meeting, but try while he's there. And I think RI is going to pay his primary expenses. So that's a nice thing as opposed to we don't have to, pay with Vicky and Tim. I think you got to watch who's paying for what when they come
yeah,
over. But anyway, try and get him with individuals who may be ready to really learn about the fact that because somebody can't even remember what day it is. I'm so confused. But anyway, said something about with some other kind of foundation he could give his stock and bonds and stuff, and that could convert over. We said you can do that with Rotary, and they didn't know that, and I didn't understand that I could give property and have that be where I don't pay the taxes on it, anything. So I'm still learning. So I know a lot of our people don't know. So a lot of that is we've really got to get that out and about and
Yep.
trying to figure out, and of course, hard to say, okay, who among you would like to have a private visit because you're wealthy enough that you can make a donation of a property or your stock or something? I mean, I don't know how you ask for that, but really try and make his visit very, again, I like Virginia did with our clubs and the joint clubs, and that was and Al did a great job. And again, you can have other topics, you could have those videos and stuff that are, again, a reason to get together. But if Jeff comes, we're trying to talk about having him here long enough on the different, at least that, and during that time frame, a Rotarian from Kona got in touch with me about somebody looking to give a large sum. So I've connected him and Jeff together. So that's going to happen. I don't know if it needs a private visit. Maybe by the time January comes, the private visit can, seal the deal. But I do have a couple other things I want to talk about when you get ready for that. Okay, I know we're getting to the end here. I'm trying to stay quiet.
No, that's okay. So the only other thing is I wanted to talk a little bit about the handling of funds for those clubs that are not qualified to receive their DDF. When does that become available for us to be able to give back for other clubs to do additional grants or cover use it for global grants also for those that aren't qualified?
So that's the second round that we call it, and
Yeah.
usually we get that out in like February.
Okay. And that would be for both DDF for district grants and global grants. It's
They
February
can
time.
use it as their oh wait, no. Yeah, they can use it as a cash portion of global grant. But there's only 5,000 left, yeah. It's not
Okay.
much. Because if we're giving the 14,000 back to the donors clubs, we don't have
Yes.
that anymore. So we only got 5,000 left.
Right. But those people need to make projects or
Right.
grants that are going to spend that
Right.
$14,000 in a
Right. So
short
that's what
period
we
of
need to
time.
let them, we need to let them know how much it is and
Yeah.
the process now.
Rich, you've got some money coming to you because part of that was Malia Schwartz's money that was supposed to be coming back to your club. So we're going to be giving that back to your club. So that means you're going to be able to use those funds unencumbered for anything you want to do within your club for a grant purpose.
Yeah.
So it could
Not
be
a big party. No.
no big party. But don't worry about having to have to come up with matching cash. It is cash to your club. So if you want to say, hey, let's go ahead and get a bunch of food for the homeless or something of that nature, or school supplies or scholarships, you can just take that and write a check for that. And there's a few other clubs that are going to be benefiting from this also.
Yeah, and Rich, when you get that, make sure your club understands that that money's coming back. I know that they are not crazy about the giveaway at, 5,000, they only get half back 3 years later. So, they need to know that money's coming back to them. So,
And it's going to
Okay.
continue coming back to them every year.
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, well, while we've been on this, I got an email from Paul Nakachi, and he dyed his hair purple, for polio last month. And I finally got around in one of my airports and sent in my donation, which is what prompted him to do it. So I don't know if he's turned in his money, but he said his Mililani Sunrise has now exceeded $2,700 because of his purple hair. So I don't know if that's been sent in to you, because like you said, not all the money's it. And my feeling is the month of October for polio, the month of November for the foundation, that is just, it doesn't mean we only give during those times.
Right.
It's an opportunity to kick our royal acoles and get us motivated to get out there and do something and raise the flags and scream and yell a little bit. But I want to keep that up forever. I really, my last, couple of weeks of talks have really talked to the clubs about E-rate, because those banners came in. I went, wow, it's possible. We only had 9 clubs out of all of ours who had the 100% E-rate. But I really think we could do a whole lot better. And so I'm really pushing on the clubs to pay attention to that, to look at it. And I'm asking them to do it anyway in more of a membership format. But, those slackers, those guys that sit at home and don't come, they're still members. Make that personal call, invite them back to be a part of your club. And part of that is invite them to be part of E-rate. Tell them that, because nobody that I know of has got a problem with paying $25. Not when I just had that lunch, that nice dinner last night at Asagio's, where, I'm sure everybody rolled out $50 between the social hour beforehand and the dinner and stuff. So, I think it's just a matter of getting the word out and really making a bigger effort on the club's part. And I'm not saying 100, I'd love to get 100%, but that we get a lot more people to give that money. And in some cases, people like I'm looking at Dick would be, I do it. I drive my foundation guy crazy. I'll give him $100 and I say, use this for 4 of our people that didn't give, so it gets our numbers back up. I still I give them a check because I get the tax write-off, but I don't get the credit in Rotary, and that's okay. I'm happy with paying less in taxes. So anyway, so I do want to try and have a bigger push for that, and there's some ways we could do that. And I had an idea before of at the end of this month, because this is our foundation month, sending all of our Rotarians a summary of what they have given to the foundation somewhat historically and then so far this year, and try and give them a goal and try and do something where we can talk to their clubs. They're at $800. If they put in another 100, we have points, we can match them so that they can become Paul Harris fellows and things like that. I think a lot of people, yes, you can go into RI, you know where you're at. Do I do that? No. So I think other
No.
people don't do it, and they don't know where they're at, and they don't know how close they are, and they don't have a goal because they're just not paying attention to it. They throw money at it
Yeah.
when somebody asks and they don't know. So I think if we as a foundation make that effort to notify everybody and kind of get them more alert to it, I think we could get some real little movement going here, and we just kind of keep it up for the next 3 to 4 months. And and it's going to take some effort, but I'm willing to try, and even if I have to hire somebody at my office to do some extra work to get that going. Okay, so let's think about what we can do
Yeah,
to keep the roll going.
Yeah, well, it takes a little bit of work on it on the club's parts, but as far as foundation chairs, one of the things that I've seen done that works really well is they just do a cutout, like a quarter, a third of a sheet, or even a
Yeah.
eighth of a sheet,
Yeah.
and it just says the person's name. It says, "What have you given this year?" And it could be
Yep.
0, and it says, how much are you? How much further are you from your next Paul Harris Fellow?
Yeah.
And just hand that to them in their meeting when
Yeah,
they come
right.
in. So
And
it's private,
right.
and
It's
but
private,
they
it's
have it.
personal. Yeah.
And then you make an announcement and then ask
Yeah.
them for make their donations.
Yeah. And then for the guys who don't come to meetings, we send it to them and maybe
Right.
follow up with a phone call because they're not paying attention. I know exactly. That's who I am at all my other clubs. I don't know what's going on. I just pay my dues because I support their cause, right? Slacker that I am. So, yeah, that. And then I also want to spend some time, and I know it's already getting late tonight, on us really, 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 really looking to try and start. And I need to get Benson and Rich involved with this though too, to get some co-chairs of all of these subcommittees to come on board. So we want to get, again, we've got a few folks here tonight, some of our subcommittees, is we want every committee to have 2 to 3 people on it. So, if you're
Yeah.
the chair, you should look for at least 1 to 2 other people to be on that with you. Because then you can do more, you have more ideas, and we just don't have somebody with a title that doesn't do anything or hasn't got time or is kind of lost interest. And part of that is to have that committee be more successful. And the other reason for that is to bring up more leadership from our membership. When members get committed into a leadership role, they're more committed to the overall club. And Rotary International has told us from last year, bring in more leadership from the leadership, bring in new leadership from the membership, so more people are more committed to Rotary in general. So I want to really, really work on that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything they want to share?
Okay, so can I ask?
One thing. Oh, go ahead, Naomi.
Go ahead, Naomi.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing I'd like to surface again, we talked about it last month, but I don't know if we reached closure, and that is White Hat Awards. White Hat, if you recall, is given by a number of clubs, but not all clubs, in fact, not majority of the clubs. And there has been some push from a couple of our White Hat recipients who said, love the award, want the money to go where it stands, don't need a white hat. I am personally in that camp.
Well,
That's
it
what
was
it
in our
is.
minutes. It was in our minutes, Rich, that we agreed on that.
Yeah.
So the minutes show that we agreed on the white hat being optional.
Okay,
that,
and we did,
that was
and we
going to,
did,
and the
and
club.
we did. So
Yeah.
my only question is, do we need to run that by a larger audience? Has Nancy
No.
and leadership,
Depend.
if not, we're good.
No, we're good. So
Yeah, I think we're good. And what we can look at though instead is give them the white hat pin, maybe,
No,
the pin is kind of a
that's part of
thing.
it.
We
Yeah.
have told everybody we'll give them the pins, the ceremony, the conchas,
Yeah.
and the one white hat member who said, don't send me a white hat, they're
Yeah.
fine. So if someone wants a white hat, I've already ordered and will pay for the couple of white hats that we're owing before we made this decision. But after this, going forward, if you want a white hat, you purchase one.
Now,
Yeah.
I had some drinks with several of the members of Sunset, and they were pretty upset about that. And I said, why? And they go, well, it's because it's ours, and obviously they're celebrating the passing
Per
of.
Ed Mullen, 90% of the districts have opted against doing it. I mean, if somebody really wants one, we can order one for them and they can pay the price for it. But it's like going to a district conference at another island and receiving a lovable Labrador Retriever puppy. Now, what you going to do with it?
Yeah. No,
Think
I
about
agree.
it then.
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument on it, and we basically just put it back on the clubs. So and Sunset said, we're going to continue buying hats for our members. And I said, that's fine. You can do that. And we'll support that. I mean, if you need us to order it for you, as long as you pay for it, that's fine. But we really don't think that there's that many people that
Well,
want to continue having it.
I think a part of this is probably my job to introduce what it means and what we do. If I make the pitch, and it was interesting today, I made the pitch that our friction is 16%, not what it is in other areas. We don't give you a plush toy. We don't send you a whole bunch of return mailing addresses and stuff. We use the money to make it count where it counts.
Yeah.
So somebody said to me, well, if we do a white hat, why should we buy a white hat out of that? Why shouldn't I buy the white hat, let the rest go? Bingo. So I think I need to probably sell that to everybody. I don't have any pushback from anybody. I have only support now, but I'm just looking at future pushback. So what I've done is I've ordered the white hats for the couple of folks that want them. Dave Suda came back and said, I don't want one. Save the money for Rotary. Yay, good on you. And so from here going forward, if you all agree, then guess what? You want a white hat, you get to buy one.
That makes
Yes.
perfect sense. I just want to say that sometimes a little bit of the white hat presentation at the district conference or at the club or wherever it is the drama, the presentation itself.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to borrow a white hat, I have a couple I'll bring anywhere you need them to go. You can present the person who doesn't want the white hat, showing this is the white hat, you're now one of us, and then take it back. And we'll do
I think it's good. I guess for me as a fairly long time Rotarian and a multiple white hat and a major donor, I would like us not to be sorted into the big givers and the other folks who are out in the wings someplace. I want everybody to understand we're all in the same journey. We're all in a different place in this journey. And I want to encourage those to continue to give and not feel like they've been left out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Dick, I agree with that. I think I want to praise everybody for where they're at. And we do that by and maybe we can think of something for our district conference on that Saturday night where we can do something to recognize all of the different levels that people are at with it.
My
and with an
answer
equal
to that
enthusiasm.
is to say, hell, our district governor is an accomplished cowgirl from the Big Island, and guess what? She's got her own hat.
Right. And then the White House guy sent me one, so I have about 4 of them. And I'm going to say the expense on them is, I go to those rodeos, I could buy them for so cheap. They're so cheap when you're there. It's cost of getting it, shipping it here, and all of that. I should just every summer I should just come home from Pendleton
Well,
with 4
and
more
getting
of
it
them for
home.
you.
I
Getting
was
it home.
awarded mine on Maui, and I was
Yeah.
very proud of getting it. Then I sat here and said, okay, I've been given a lovable corgi puppy. What am I going to do with this thing?
Yeah.
Will it fit in the overhead compartment? Can I get it home? So I wear it at the event for an hour, and then I take it off and go, is it going to get crushed under the table? What do I do with it? So anyway,
Dick,
thank you.
those cowboys, they have special hat container boxes they travel with, and you can get them in multiple sizes to carry multiple
There's another
hats if
cost.
you'd like. Yeah.
It's not worth the cost of that hat.
No, the containers cost more than the hat. Those straw hats are really cheap.
Okay, so
Naomi, go ahead.
Dick, we do have budget for that, so please send your receipt. District will pay you back for those hats. Speaking of pins, Dave Herman had this big idea of all of those Paul Harris pins. We don't need them, so let's give them back. So I gave that to Bev Reed, and she's going to ask Rotary if they would take them back from us. So all of the other Paul Harris pins we don't need, just give it back.
Okay.
Naomi,
I think I have the inventory of conchas, pins, and stuff. What I don't have yet is 2 white hats that will come in. After that, I think I am a pure and immaculate Rotarian. We'll see.
Okay. And then I wanted to
Well, okay.
ask, everybody on this
A current
call,
Rotarian.
if we can be the role model. So if Nancy wants to do E-Ray, if all of us can commit to trying to have our clubs be E-Ray clubs, at least we can get our clubs to be that. So Nancy, if you want to do those letters, you got to start with Hilo.
Yeah, Hilo, that's right. That's a big nut to crack. Okay. And the other thing is, David, I wanted to tell you, I love the letter that you put out. I read it at LA airport this morning or somewhere. Very good letter. And because of you, I'm going to sign up, and then I will make my I don't do stuff online. I'm not crazy about that, but I'm going to sign up. So I will start doing my donations online. Yes.
I thank you for reminding me. I wanted to, I'm remiss for not mentioning that. Not my article, but the fact that I wanted to say thank you to all of you that submitted something for the foundation newsletter, and for Naomi for putting that all together. The ability to put that into writing it is one thing, putting it into a newsletter format is a whole different animal. And so I just wanted to say thank you, Naomi, for pushing that through and getting us all to do that.
All good.
And for all of you that participated in giving your articles, thank you very much for doing that. And nothing stops us from continuing to stick something in the newsletter. So sometimes a little bit every single month of a small, like we're going to do something to focus on E-Ray before the end of this month, on just E-Ray. And we'll continue doing that. But if you folks know, our club is huge on E-Ray, and we will continue to be E-Ray sustaining club. And that's what I keep trying to motivate other clubs to get 100% of your members to give $100 each, because that really can bring a lot more revenue into your club for things you can do in the future. And what supporting of the foundation.
So is the foundation newsletter on the website?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is? Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll ask
I'd just like to add, if you really want to get the clubs to do every Rotarian every year, do a little session at the next club meeting, have everyone take their cell phones, because they already have them out in the meeting, and have them go to My Rotary and have the list of their Rotary member numbers there, so that they can put their Rotary member numbers in on their cell phone as you're meeting, and then they can get their pledge in at the meeting with their phones. The cold hard truth in my club, and to be perfectly honest, Nancy, in your club, because I had a conversation with Carrie, is that members rely on the club officers to submit all of that stuff to RI. They have them fill out. Carrie Glass does it every month. For the
and I know Waikiki does that too. They do everything with manual checks, and I'm going, this is crazy, guys. Checks are. I got scolded for mentioning checks one time at one of our training sessions. Who uses checks anymore? I go, okay, I'm 68 years old. I still use checks, but not very much.
I guess I need to
them.
I guess I need to change the way I do business, because
no, we are enabling them. But I think
remember years ago when I talked to Alani Flynn, and and Alani's husband told her, when she was told by her credit union that she should join Rotary, and he said, well, it's a bunch of old haole guys who write checks. So all right, at this time in my life, I'm an old haole guy who writes checks, but I do more. But I think that one of the things that's important probably is for me to stop preaching about do as I do as I say, because I'm the guy that walks across the street once a month and gives my foundation share a large check. Well, if I get squashed by the garbage truck on the way over there, guess what? You lose. So the EREY approach is really the way. So I think I'm going to have to embrace that and lead.
Yeah, and make sure we are consistent with our communication. We want to make sure they know it's Rotary Direct, because it's the term you want to use. The Rotary Direct, not revolving giving or things of that nature. We want them to understand, because when they go into the Rotary website, it's that Rotary Direct that you want to have as a reoccurring monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual payment. And it is so easy. I know, Virginia, you do it, right? Rotary Direct, I do it. I don't think about it. It's hands off, and no more checks. My wife likes that because she gets mad at me for spending money for stamps. So, all right, folks.
Most of the people who are Paul Harris Society members are Rotary Direct.
Yeah,
But
because
I've
it
been doing it
happens
for
so
over
much.
20 years.
That doesn't seem to fit our model, though. I mean, when you say that, I hear you. But if you look at the number of Rotary Direct people we have compared to the number of Paul Harris Society members, it doesn't match. It's about a third of the number.
Yeah, I didn't say it matched, Dave. I said a lot of people who are Rotary Direct
Yes.
are also just have it taken out automatically because, we're all busy. We don't remember to do this every month
I agree, and I
on
think,
our own.
Nancy, your mantra of getting everybody to be E-Ray, I think we almost have to make it coincide with Rotary Direct.
I do too. I do
Two
too.
together
Yeah.
is the cat's meow, because
Well,
if you get them to understand that it's easy to do it and then they do it regularly, then they don't have to think about it. And it's painless. It's painless.
one of the things I wanted to 6 months ago, when I was dreaming about making these meetings to everybody, I wanted to have somebody else come with me, sit at the back table and sign everybody up, help them get into Rotary Direct, because I'm partly that. I mean, I get so frustrated at computers. I about frisbee them every day, but of course I don't have anybody with me per se, and that takes that extra time. And instead I'm talking to everybody and selling them shirts. So, but that's what we need. Like Virginia just said, you need to say, okay, here we are. And maybe we can look at that, David, through this foundation group. We look to our assistant governors, because that's our contact, and tell them all in the coming, couple of months before the end of January, please make a trip to.
Well, I would say, we all have to be examples for others, right, Nancy? So why don't we just tell all your
I know, I'm on my way.
area assistant governors to sign up for Rotary Direct?
Yes.
I'm losing you on the audio. Okay. Well, all right. Appreciate it, everybody. I want to make sure
there's a storm in Texas.
All right. Well, there's always a storm in Texas.
Always.
Okay.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for all of your work that you do for the Rotary Foundation and for all you do for Rotary. Thank you very, very much. Looking forward to continuing with you folks, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Happy to help in any way I can. Aloha.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving.
you.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
all.
Thanksgiving.
Have fun, Joni.
Thanks,
Joni, I
bye.
love the
Bye.
scarf. Joni, I've been wearing your scarf on all the airplanes. Love the scarf. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Aloha.
Aloha.